Okay, this is where the thermostat was leaking. It was leaking right here where this gasket, or I don't know, formed O-ring seal thing was squeezed against the head or the block. I can't remember where it was. I think it was the block. But anyways, the part didn't warp or anything. It's still pretty flat. There just doesn't really seem to be enough compression of this rubberized seal thing right here. Anyways, you can see where there's like rust all the way across this seal, and that's where the coolant was leaking from, which leads me to believe that I could have drove this car for a long time, and you know, as long as I kept topping off the coolant, it probably never would have turned into a really bad coolant leak. Anyways, lessons learned. Again, don't use stop leak. There's a lot of things in the car. The coolant, the oil heat exchanger, the radiator, the heater core. Those things all became clogged when I used stop leak. Going back to letting this car leak forever, I don't know if it's a good idea either, because the coolant's like $25 a gallon if you buy the actual Volkswagen stuff. Yeah. I failed to mention that you're going to need a 7mm 12-point combination wrench, or even better yet, a ratcheting 7mm wrench. The hose that comes off of the turbo outlet going to the intercooler, it's kind of in a hard to reach area. It only took me like 2 or 3 minutes of screwing around with this wrench to get it loose and off, but if you had a ratcheting 7mm combination wrench, that'd be super awesome. Yeah, torque sequence and torque values. So everything was 9 Newton meters. When you're torquing the water pump to the thermostat, you're going to start here. You're then going to go to there. You're then going to go to here. And then you're going to go to there incrementally, ultimately ending up at 9 Newton meters. Getting the water pump onto the block, you're going to start over here. You're going to then go over there. You're going to go to there. You're going to go down there. And then ultimately arrive over there. Again, incrementally getting to 9 Newton meters. I did not change the belt. It looked fine. I didn't want to screw around anymore with this thing than I had to, so I said I'm just going to leave this stupid thing alone. But anyways, I didn't change the belt. When I put the thermostat on with the water pump attached, I wasn't able to stretch the belt over this, the pulley, whatever you want to call it. So don't bother torquing down the water pump to the thermostat until after the thermostat is attached to the car, because you're not going to be able to stretch the belt over this thing. Yeah, makes sense. Anyways, so, you know, put the thermostat on, then bring the water pump into the picture, wrap the belt around the pulley, get everything, you know, in the right spot, and then tighten these bolts down. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let you guys either pause or stare at that a little while longer. That's an important page. The one last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is when I had to start the car for the very first time, I was hearing all sorts of weird noises, air moving around through the coolant system. It wasn't until after the car was at temperature and I opened up the overflow cap to let coolant and air make a giant mess all over my garage that I was finally able to purge all of the air out of the coolant system. So I'm going to say this again slowly and in a way that you understand. You're not going to be able to get the air out of the coolant system unless you make a mess. So once the car is at temperature and this hunk of crap, overly complicated electrical thermostat opens up, what you need to do is you need to go under the hood. You probably probably want to wear gloves. You probably want to get a rag around the coolant overflow bottle, and you want to crack it open, and you want to let coolant and air both gush out of the overflow reservoir. You probably want to do that 2 or 3 times. That is the only way I was able to burp or get the air out of the coolant system. After I did that, yeah, there was still a little bit of air in it. I could hear it, but as we drove the car around and as time went on, the air worked itself out. So I was successful. We've been driving the car now for 6 months without issue. There isn't a leak. There was a leak from day one in the radiator. It's still leaking. It's a very small leak. I can only smell coolant. I cannot actually see coolant leaking from the radiator, but when you put your nose near the radiator after the car warms up, you can definitely smell coolant like evaporating or coming from the radiator. I took it to the dealer. The dealer said there was no leak, so they refused to fix anything. But I'm telling you right now, since the first day that we bought this car, the radiator has been leaking. It's still leaking today. We've got over 120,000 miles in the car. It hasn't turned into a big problem. I'm going to leave it alone until it becomes a big problem. All right, YouTube. Good luck. Peace. Oh yeah, I forgot. This part right here is identical to the part that I bought in late 2018. This part right here is from 2015. Volkswagen knows they have a problem, and Volkswagen has done nothing to revise or change this part so the problem doesn't exist any longer. I know that after I'm done fixing this freaking car, it's gonna leak all over again in the exact same place. Thanks a lot, Volkswagen.